Corey Stoner with the Bakersfield Real Estate Group at Agent Core Realty, and I'm here with
Goodson with PRMG.
And we're going to talk about down payment assistance today, the programs that are available, kind of the requirements, and how it can be good for a buyer. But first, we're going to just kind of sit here and just kind of wing it, just kind of talk about the market, talk about ourselves for probably just a few minutes, just so people can get in. I'm going to try to have this up as well on the beautiful iPad. So right now, I think we're definitely a seller's market, and that's one of the things I do actually love about real estate, because to me, having a master's degree, you know, everything I learned is about supply and demand, and I've always been of kind of the opinion that right now, you know, supply and demand isn't really how our market works. You know, a lot of it's manipulated, but in the housing market, it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, if there are more homes on the market than there are people that want to buy them, prices go down, or sellers are way more willing to negotiate. Right now, it's not that way.
Yeah.
They say, oh, inventory is tight, and I look at it from the point of view is that the way things have been, both on my buying side and my selling side, homes that are quote unquote nice, you know, in good condition, clean, in neighborhoods that are desirable. I don't want to say good or bad because that's bad. You see multiple offers. You see sellers that are not willing to give concessions, and by concessions I mean come down on price, give closing cost assistance.
Although we are still seeing sellers.
Some.
Yeah.
Some.
They're,
I don't know about you, but at least at this point, I'm a lot of times I can see a seller maybe giving half of the closing cost assistance. Seeing full-on closing cost assistance is rare. The last couple of listings I have, they did do it, but even that, it's not as common as it was a few years ago.
So with what I've got going right now for the month of December, and I've actually, it's a really busy month for me, but the majority of mine, like 75% of mine still have the full
really
seller credit
That's
for
good.
closing costs. The other, there's a portion maybe, and some are not giving any at all. So
that's good. I mean, like I say, that's not really been my experience, but honestly, as lenders, I think you guys, for the most part, compared to the average agent, you guys are going to see more transactions than just the average person. So you guys might have a better handle on that than what I do. Sometimes, yeah.
yeah.
But like I said, the last two, they did give, both of them did, last two listings this month did give full closing cost, which I was surprised by, but on the buyer side, I have a few qualified buyers right now, you know, pre-qual letters in hand, and they're getting beat out on every offer, and they actually one just got one accepted, but at least in that, maybe it's the time of year just because it's inventory is definitely shrinking even more right now, but getting any kind of closing cost assistance was really tough.
Yeah, and I know that in a seller's market, and well, are you seeing that homes? It seems like they're not. The inventory isn't sitting on the shelf very long. I mean,
no. The way I have described it to others, at least family members and other people asking, is that we're in a seller's market, but it's a very sensitive seller's market. If the home is priced right, it's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone. But if it's even a little bit overpriced, it's sitting. It's sitting until it gets in that range, because it seems like buyers are reluctant to go after something like that or ask for a lower price, or maybe it's the seller's not wanting to give that. But I've definitely been advising sellers, you know, if you're thinking of going 5-10 grand over what, you know, the comps are saying or what we're saying, in order to have that negotiating power, don't do it, because your home's going to sit.
Well, I think that's why they really need to listen to you, the agent, because you're the expert. And if they listen to you and they price it correctly, it's going to go quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But
and that's the thing. I mean, we don't look at it. I think sometimes sellers thinks we do. Potential sellers think we're just going, oh no, we just want to make as much money as we can and do that, or that we think we're going to try to tell them to sell it lower so we can make money right away. And at least for me, it's not that way. It's I actually have a certification for value, so you know, every appraisal I get, I save and I look at it and I write those kind of rule of thumb numbers down, and I spend a lot of time doing my valuations, and I try to get them right on. And like I said, it's like we don't just look at it and people go, oh, well, Zillow says this, and unlike a lot of agents, I don't hate Zillow, but it's still an algorithm. It doesn't have the human touch. They don't have access to the appraiser data, so they don't know really how to compare that always with other homes. So sometimes those can be way off.
So I use Zillow all the time. I mean, I use it not on a daily basis, but I use it a lot. But I don't use it for the valuation. I use it to find out like the age of the home.
Right.
I'll go in just to make sure that like the bedrooms are correct, and I look at square footage. I'll just, whenever I'm doing an open house, I'll go to Zillow to check it out. Just kind of look at the area,
Right.
look at other photos, and
I won't say I use it a lot, but we're running in, especially in a seller's market, trying to help buyers that are having trouble finding a home in a certain market, and it's something I run into a lot. So if you are looking for a home and you're having trouble, think about doing this. If a home is listed with somebody who is not in our area, and it's not in the Bakersfield MLS,
yeah,
that is where, and I've
Makes
had
a
a
difference.
few, and I've started doing that now, especially with clients that just been tough to find, whether it's a certain price point or something like that. I'll go into Zillow and see if there's anything listed from out of town agents, and that was not something I thought about until I say 6-7 months ago, when a family member actually was looking for a home and we were having trouble at a certain price point, and they sent me one like, this isn't in our MLS, where the heck is this from? And they sent me the screenshot from Zillow and found the agent's info, and yeah, we got him. We got him in that one. And one thing I noticed recently, I mean, I actually saw, I'm not going to say what the address is, but saw a pretty nice home in the Southwest for sale, listed with an outside agent not in our MLS, and both Zillow and Trulia have the agent's phone number wrong. So
oh wow.
I'm a deep diver, so I found the agent's info and got a setting shown up on that house. But yeah, so I'm if you like a house and that info's wrong, I'm gonna find it for you.
Yeah. Hey, you were talking about valuations. So have you found where are your appraisals coming in? Have you and I only ask this because it seemed like for me in the months of maybe August, September, October, I had a lot of appraisals that came in low. I mean, it seemed like, and it wasn't that it didn't feel to me like the prices or the houses were priced incorrectly. It's just the appraisers were having a hard time finding comparables
Right.
that justified that value. But in the months of November and the ones that I've had come back in December, they've been right on. So
See, and I've kind of had the out of about 6, 7, 8, 10 listings this year, one has come back low, and that was recently, and that one I fought on.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way, there's no way. It was a situation, honestly, for watching this, I came in with a valuation price. The sellers wanted to go a little bit above it to have some negotiating room. I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. We got full price offer right away. It fell out, unfortunately, so I had to go back to market. It wasn't on the market very long again. Another full price offer. Yeah, it came in 10 low, and that was tough because I fought. I was fighting for the original valuation. I told the seller, look, getting the full valuation probably is not going to happen, but I'm going to fight for this one because it wasn't that far off, and could not. Just nobody would budge on it. To this day, I still think it was a little off, but their reasoning that they were giving, like, okay, those are the comps. You have the comps I had from a little bit before that, said a little bit different story. I don't want to go into it too because I don't want anyone to think I'm angry about it, but they also used a couple REOs that, yes, they've been kind of fixed up, but I still think they went a little below what they would have if they were not REOs. And so, yeah, there were issues, but that's really the only one. But I have heard friends, I've heard my team members kind of have the same experience, just in general. I actually had an escrow person tell me the other day just that even now they're still coming in low.
Yeah, I've been really lucky though. Like I said, in the last 2 months, everyone has been right on. But
That's
before
good.
that, I had a whole string of them that came in low, and that's, I mean, and sometimes the agents is aware. They were like, yeah, we figured that it was going to come in. We factored in it was maybe come in 5,000 low, and that's what it
Right.
came in, or it only came in a couple thousand low, and it's in those situations where they already expect it. It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
But when they think that it's priced right, and you tell them, oh, sorry, it came in 10 low, then it can be a big
deal.
issue.
And just that is not a phone call we enjoy.
Yeah, no.
It is not a phone call we enjoy at all. And one thing I'm very transparent with people with, and it's my joke, it's like, Yes, sure, home inspections, we always kind of like, okay, how's this gonna go? Same with, wood destroying pest inspections. We're all like, no. As soon as we know the appraiser has gone out and done appraisals, like it's usually at least 3 or 4 days of it's like, because we can be I'm never 100% confident, but I'm 99% confident in a lot of my values, and I still just waiting to get that call or email or from who say, how did it come in? How we do?
Well, for me, on the lender side of it, when I'm waiting for an appraisal, if I know that there might be issues with the house, especially if the agents have let me know, hey, we might expect this or this to be called, I'm not so much thinking about the value of the property, because I know that you guys do your job. You guys try to price it right, as much as you can,
right,
depending on how the sellers are you're working with. But for me, I don't know, like, the repair items that an appraiser may or may not call. I mean, sometimes they go through and they call everything. Sometimes they go in and they don't call anything, and you're just like, where's the? I know on an FHA loan, they have certain guidelines that meet health and safety, and they have to call certain things, and it's fairly consistent.
And when Chip is saying the appraiser calls things,
that's just lender required repairs.
Yeah, it's just saying that in order to fund the loan, the appraiser is saying that these certain items have to be repaired.
And it's always, we have to have carbon monoxide detectors, we have to have smoke detectors, you have to have the water heater strapped and vented. That's a new one. I've had so many recently where they've been strapped, but they haven't been vented properly. And if they're not vented properly, it can be like a $500 or $600 repair. And then you have to have a heating source, you have to have a cooking source,
right?
And then they will call peeling paint. They'll call wood rot.
Especially peeling paint, especially on before 1978 property. I have noticed that.
I was gonna say, on your older homes, you got peeling paint.
Yeah, I've seen newer ones where they let it go, but if I have a pre-1978 every single time, and the reason for that is because of the possibility of lead-based paint underneath there. So that's a safety one. That one I totally get.
Yeah, no, have to do it. But unless your house has been recently painted, an older home, you're gonna have peeling paint somewhere.
Yeah,
and they absolutely will call it.
I tell people that. I go, if there's any bare wood anywhere, be ready that they're gonna call it, because I take it as that they think that as a wood destroying pest issue, that it can either lead to wood rot or infestation from termites, mold, stuff like that. And so that and I tell buyers and I tell sellers that, if they can, hey, probably take care of that beforehand. The water heater thing with the venting, I've never had one called, but I've had a home inspector who looked at it. What else have I had called weird?
But I've had a bunch recently where the water heater was not strapped at all. Just
really?
No strapping on it. And I'm thinking, how did they get some sort of funding for this property before this loan? Because this wasn't the first time they got a loan on the house. Yeah. Did someone just go in and take the straps off? Or did it never happen?
Yeah.
I don't know how. Like, I have one right now where the straps they put on are the first straps that have ever been on that water heater. And it couldn't have, unless it was paid for with cash.
Right.
Which, absolutely could have happened. But the age of this home, I cannot imagine that this is the first time there's been a loan on it.
Right. That's interesting.
Unless it was a conventional loan and they didn't call it. But, I guess this could have been the first FHA loan on it. But
My weirdest one with that was, hi Mariah, we're going to talk about you here if you're watching. A friend of mine, it was one of the first deals I did. Nice little house in the Southwest. FHA guy came in, or appraiser came in. Really, if I remember right, there were no issues. It was fine, all good. The person who bought it ended up getting engaged and decided to sell the house about 7 months later. 7 months later, FHA appraiser comes in, and it wasn't even I don't even think it was connected to the house, but there was a wood lattice patio back there. Made her paint that. There had been a pet door in the garage door that was there when it was before. We were told either they have to put a steel sheeting over it or replace the entire door, so it ended up costing her. It ended up costing her, and I ended up helping her on that a little bit, because it's like, this is ridiculous. But in 7 months, and it could have just been a different guideline change, Or it could have been that, you know, the appraiser we got the first time was just in a really good mood, or the appraiser we got the second time was in a really bad mood.
I think probably not moods, but the first guy you got was so overwhelmingly busy that he just came in and knocked it out and just didn't see those things. The second guy came in and just, he had more time to spend in the house and he saw everything. But now that's one of the things that I was going to say. I've even had recently on a conventional loan. So in the garage, that the door, it's a fire rated door.
Right.
So you can't have any alterations in it.
Right.
And I've had same thing. They put a dog door in it, and I mean that's a good spot to put a doggy door.
It is, and now I know that. If I see that anywhere, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
it
you're
has
gonna
to-
get, you're
it has
gonna,
to be fixed.
and it can't just be an inside door. It has to be,
Yeah.
it
Because
has to be a fire rated
It's
door.
a fire rated door. It can't have any alterations to it, or if it has any damage to it, I've had to be replaced. But yeah, that's a big one too. I think it's called all
Make
the
sure
time.
this is still going. It is. We've been going for 16 minutes.
Awesome.
I don't know if anyone's given any comments or anything yet, but we'll see. I want to start it and I want to see it. No. So we'll just let it go live and just, if there's something that likes me. So if you guys have any questions, I will check on it later here in a little bit. I'll walk back around there and see if anyone's left any questions. Or heck, just text me at area code 661-623-0231. Even though it's filming on the phone, should come up on the iPad as well as a text. Man, that's some great. Honestly, when it comes to appraisals, that's good info to know, especially on both ends. It really is. But I mean, the main reason we kind of sat down was to talk about down payment assistance.
Absolutely.
And honestly, here in Bakersfield, down payment assistance, big thing, great for buyers. It is possible. I mean, you see all the Facebook ads everywhere that'll say, hey, you can get into a house for $0 down. It's tough to get in with no cost at all, but
Yeah.
it is possible. And when it says $0 down, that doesn't mean it's no cost throughout. There are things you do have to pay for,
Yeah.
but
So-
it is possible.
So it's hard to get in for $0 down, but under the right circumstances, it can be done. But the down payment assistance programs we use here mostly is the Cal Halfa program, and that one's really good because it has a down payment assistance component, and then it has a zip lien that will give you an extra loan for closing costs. So if you use both of those and you get a seller credit, you can get in with little or no money out of your pocket. In most cases, our goal is to try to get you in for just the cost of the appraisal, which is like $500.
Right.
And if you can get into a house for $500, that's, in my book, that's a big score. But what people need to understand is you're still in the beginning. You still have to give your escrow money deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't get around that, and you still have to pay for the appraisal up front. So
And you'll still have to, through the course, you'll still have to pay for your home inspection,
yeah.
and you'll still have to pay for wood destroying pest inspection if you'd like that, or any other inspections you choose to have. Or
So now, and on that note, so if you get those inspections are going to be separate from your closing costs or
Yes.
from your down payment. So those are things
Yep.
that you're going to pay for.
yeah, they'll usually pay pretty much. I say up front. Sometimes they'll invoice you, but for the most part, they're up front that you have to pay for it before you actually get the written report.
And those things, when you pay for them, you're not getting the money back.
Exactly.
It's just
They're non-refundable.
you pay for it. But if we structure it correctly, we should be able to, in most cases, get you back your escrow money deposit, and in some cases, get you back the money for the appraisal.
That's nice.
That's our goal. And like I said, most of the time we can get the EMD back, the escrow money deposit, but we don't have enough to get you the appraisal back.
All right.
But like I said, if you can get in for just $500, I mean it's a pretty
But
good
like
deal.
you said, it kind of has to line up perfectly.
Absolutely.
Like you said, in terms of you have to get a seller's credit, which on a buyer side, as a buyer's agent, if I can get you if I can get a seller to pay for part of your closing costs, I'm going to. But it's not always possible. That's a negotiation issue, and just like sometimes sellers just aren't willing or unable. That sometimes I've run into is it's not that the sellers aren't willing to do it, it's because of what they still owe on the house, or other factors that they can't afford to do so and still be able to sell their house.
Yeah, and every situation is going to be different.
Yeah.
Every seller is going to be a little different. Some people are going to have a little more equity. Some people are going to be in a completely different situation. Some people need to sell right away because they're leaving town. They've got a new job somewhere else, or some people just they're moving into a different property. Some people they're selling this house and it's contingent upon buying another house. So they have to sell this one to buy the next one. So every situation is going to be a little different.
And one thing, and I get it, when buyers are out there looking, they're looking at the new houses that come on the market and things like that, but I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit, but I will say, what I love seeing when I see a house that has come back on market, or not so much price reductions always, but if it's come back on market after it's been in escrow, that's when, if it meets one of my clients, I'm like, we need to look at that one.
Yeah.
And when they go, why? I go, that house has been in escrow, it looks like it's been in escrow a couple of weeks, these people want to sell. They are probably not happy that it's back on market, that somebody backed out.
They are ready to negotiate.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean come in and try to lowball or do like that, but come in with something, hey, we want to get it in, be reasonable, maybe a little bit of a seller credit might happen because, like you said, they're ready to negotiate at that point because like I said, they may be in escrow in another home. Because that can mess a lot of things up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've recently had one where we had 3 deals riding on our loans. So one was selling this house to buy this house, and they were selling this house to get into this house, and you have to make sure that all the pieces line up. And
it is. I mean, you guys don't see that. Like, clients don't see that. But there are times where it may seem like we're just working along trying to get your home closed, but if something goes wrong somewhere, there's a lot of dominoes that can fall down.
Yeah, there's a lot of hoops we have to jump through to make sure that everything stays smooth on the buyer's end. But getting back to the whole closing cost component, one of the big questions that people ask is, what do you need to get in, or what do you need to qualify for the down payment assistance? And like we were talking earlier, they've recently, on the CalHFA program, they have raised the FICO score component, which, but actually, so it
wasn't too bad.
Yeah, technically they raised it from 640 to 660, but all they did, they took it back to where it was before.
Right.
So for years it was at 660, and they lowered it, and then they've recently decided to take it back up.
But how does that compare to kind of the score requirement for the loans themselves? Because at least, if I remember correctly, at least for most times FHA, it's about 640. So to get the down payment right now, it is, I'm just throwing it just average out there. Everybody has their own program. It might be slightly different, but now the requirement to get the down payment assistance is slightly higher than it is for, say, an FHA loan.
It is. So just a standard FHA loan is 640.
Okay.
But if we can get your score to 660, or you already have a 660 FICO score, and we can get you into that CalHFA program, it actually has a great interest rate too. And that's what we were talking about before. Right now, just those interest rates are lower than what you might be able to get on a standard FHA. But stepping back a little bit, if you don't qualify for the down payment assistance programs, and you do have your own down payment, we can actually get you into an FHA loan. I have programs that go down to 550, although those are harder. I mean, everything has to line up so correctly that those are hard to get into. But I also have a program that's 580 or above, and we do those all the time. Right. I mean, we get those, actually, we can get to work. But
and that's one thing, we say that, you have those programs where that credit score is a little lower, and if I have somebody that's qualified and I'm going to work for them, but those are hard. I mean, and they're stressful, not just for us the agents, they're stressful for the buyers, because like you said, one little thing goes wrong with those, it can
kill it. But you also have to remember, on those programs, when you have the lower FICO component, they weigh heavily your FICO score on the interest rate that you're going to get. So you just have to make sure that you have the right expectation. Right. If you have a lower credit score, you're going to have a little higher rate. It's going to be a higher monthly payment, but you're still, if you have the ability to get into a home, and you're buying a home as opposed to paying someone else's mortgage and your rent, it's always going to be a better situation.
Good. It's good to know. One question I have, because I know, sometimes it's hard to save money for your down payment, stuff like that. That's why these programs exist. What if somebody has saved some money, maybe not enough for the full down payment? Will, like a CalHFA, can it also apply to some closing cost, or is it just for the down payment?
So you have to use you can go in with just their FHA loan, but it doesn't give any closing cost assistance or down payment assistance. to use the zip lien, you have to layer it on top of the down payment assistance program.
Okay.
So you can't, I mean, you could just get the down payment assistance and use it for closing costs.
Okay.
Because they don't specify it's good for either or.
Okay.
They say it's good for both. You can use it for closing costs or down payment. But to get just like the zip portion of the grant, you have to get the.
Gotcha. So to get the zip portion, you have to have the actual down payment assistance. And I was just using that as an example. If somebody is in a tough situation where they're getting, they might have a little bit of money saved, but hey, let's use this down payment assistance. They see a house they really love, but multiple offer situations, something where if they want it, they're going to have to come in without, asking for closing cost assistance from them.
Yeah.
Just more can be set up. So it's creative. Things can be set up in different ways.
And we do that a lot too. If you do have a little money saved up, we'll use the down payment assistance program to lower your cash to close, but you still might have to use some of that money that you saved up at the end.
Right.
But it might be less than what you normally would pay if you were using your own down payment.
And probably just something more than anything so that people know, when we're talking about closing costs, down payment, for an FHA loan, down payment's 3.5%. Conventional can go down as low as 3%.
Yeah, for first-time home buyers, there's a 3% loan, but standard it's 5%.
It's 5%. Okay, and then, and I have heard this all the time, but I'll let you correct me. We kind of, as a rule of thumb, say about 3.5% to 4% of the sales price is what you're going to end up paying in closing costs. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, and it really depends on your purchase price.
Okay.
So it depends on the loan amount and the purchase price size as to what percentage. Because obviously on a smaller loan amount and smaller purchase price, it's gonna the closing costs are going to be a bigger portion of it. Because the thing that most people don't understand is that no matter what size the loan, the closing cost component is pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
It's always a very similar dollar amount, whether it's a big loan or a small loan.
And just so you guys know, I am going to probably later this week be doing one of these on closing costs and what they're like. So we're going to kind of leave that right there so that maybe somebody will come back later.
Yeah, no, that's a really good teaser for that, because it's breaking down what closing costs are and what makes them up is good for people to know, because a lot of people don't understand what is a closing cost.
I get that question a lot. Hey, what is it actually? And there are times I think I know, and then someone like you will bring up something and go, oh, that's part of the closing cost? Okay, cool. I didn't know that.
Well, and that's something that myself and Angel, another BREG agent, talked about recently, was the closing cost components.
Okay. So one of the things I've heard, so see if you verify, if you do get in and you get into a CalHFA program, does it extend the escrow time? If you come in with a 30-day conventional loan and you have the CalHFA, is it going to make it a 45-day loan, or can it still?
It shouldn't.
Okay.
In the past, absolutely.
Okay.
It would turn a 45-day escrow into a 60-day escrow quick, because in the past you had to. None of the underwriters were delegated, or when I say delegated, they didn't have the ability to underwrite the loan in-house. Okay. They had to send everything off to CalHFA, and their turn times were horrific. I mean, they were so slow that I stopped using the program. I got so upset with them. I didn't use it for a couple of years. I was just like, I'm not using those guys anymore, because they lost me customers. They got people mad at me because of their turn times. Right. And it's just, there was nothing you do about it. Now, your underwriter underwrites the file. They get it to a certain stage. You send it over to CalHFA. You put it in their MAS system, and they give an approval back very quickly. Okay. Usually same day.
Yeah. See, I've heard now, again, just from others, and I've heard this usually happens now within 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, no, they're quick.
Okay.
Because they're not underwriting the entire file. They're basically they're looking at everything that your company's underwriter provides, because there's certain key pieces of the loan that they need, and they look at those things, and as long as it adds up, they'll shoot you an approval. Okay. Now, I had one earlier today that I was expecting them to give me my approval, and it came back suspended. It came back suspended because it was missing a piece of one of the loan components. Okay. And it was an easy fix. My processor went and fixed it. She uploaded it. The approval came back.
Right. And so he just had a minute of panic for a second.
But in those situations, though, I know that It's
Right.
usually something with them. I know that it's something easy, and when I see suspense, the first couple of times that I saw, I was just like, oh no, why this is my loan? Don't do that. But now I know that it's usually on this one. It was just a form that the underwriter, she missed putting. She has like an ID number. It's called a chums number.
Right.
She didn't put her chums number.
Yeah,
on
he
it.
just threw his processor under the bus. Just so you know, I'm kidding.
No,
kidding.
actually, threw my underwriter under the bus.
Okay.
It was the underwriter, and she sent an email back. She was like, "Oh no, the one thing I forgot to double check." But it is what it is. My processor fixed it. But yeah, they're really fast, so
Okay.
we can absolutely get them done in 30 days, and I've got them done in much quicker than 30 days
Okay.
recently.
Awesome.
But
And we talked about it. I don't know. We've tried this a couple times. We were kind of like, I use Chip as the guinea pig on how to make sure these are working out good. So I'll probably have him come back later in the week. We'll do another one with the kinks worked out. So I don't know if it was on this video or somewhere else, but you mentioned that this is about 90% or so of the loans have CalHalfa attached to them or some kind of down payment assistance.
yeah, like 90% of what I'm doing right now is CalHalfa.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, so it's not a hard program to get into. And again, I don't know if it was on this one or not, but you said they raised like the income limits on it way up.
Yeah, pretty significantly. They used to be, it was like 75 or 80, and now I want to say it's a little over 130. And I don't know the exact numbers because honestly, I have so few customers that are at that limit that are looking for down payment assistance that I know that they're gonna be within the limit.
That's good. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to do one on this is to let anyone that sees this know it's not hard. It's not hard to get. I mean, obviously you still have to qualify for your regular loan, so your credit requirements and things like that still fall into play. And now the requirements for the down payment assistance itself is a little bit higher. So. But I mean, in your experience, again, I'm not a lender, so I don't see this, but I see lenders that have worked with people that are building their credit up. If somebody can build it up to 640, I mean, maybe another month or two to be able to get it up that extra 20 points to...
It really depends on the situation.
Right.
But your lender should be able to take a look at your credit report and tell you, hey, if you do this, this, and this is going to get you where you need to be.
And that, honestly, I'm really glad you brought that up because that is something... I run into a lot when people call me and ask me questions about getting pre-qualified. I hear this a lot. Oh, my credit's bad. Oh, have you talked to a lender? No, I pulled up my file on Credit Karma, so I'm just going to pay some of these things off and do this before I do. Don't do that. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead and let a lender talk to you because I'm not going to go into all the details that I know about it, but your score from Credit Karma, your free credit report, things like that, might be scored a little bit differently than a mortgage score. And it's only going to hit your points that much to have them look at it. And they do this for a living. I know I heard you say something like that. You've got 10 deals going right now. So he knows these credit reports. He can look at them and then they do the simulators. They can tell you the things to do to bring it up. And sometimes, actually a lot of times, just paying off an account and closing it might not be the best thing to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing people understand. And like you said, on Credit Karma, the freecreditreport.com or whatever, they're going to give you a consumer score. That consumer score is always going to be a little different than a mortgage score. It's going to be different than like an auto score. Mm-hmm. But we have tools available through our credit reporting partners to run a what if simulator to see if we pay this down or pay this off or remove this, it'll tell us what the score is going to be. And 99% of the time, it's accurate. In very rare instances have we done what they tell us to do, has it come back and not given us the score that it says. Almost 100% of the time, it tells us if it says it's going to give you that score and you do those things, it's going to give you that score.
And that's one of the things with this. When I talk to people, it's let them look at it. Let them do their thing, and they can help you because, like I say, they know this stuff. They do it all the time. And I get the fear. I'm like you. Nobody wants to sometimes knowing bad news, and it's almost scarier to have somebody confirm that is bad news. But honestly, I've had people come in and say, oh, I don't think my credit's good. And I don't want to say talk them into because I never want to push somebody to do something they're not ready to do. But I've spoken with them and we've decided, hey, let's go ahead and have a lender look at it, and then the lender comes back and goes, oh no, they're totally in the right range.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes people think that their credit's bad, and then you pull it, and it's fine. But it's just people's definition of bad is different, and sometimes people just don't know because they haven't looked at their credit, or they've looked at Credit Karma, and they just think that it's bad. Now, in other situations, people do have collections, or they have other things that are legitimately bad on their credit. But I can tell you the things to pay, the things to avoid paying, because like Corey said, sometimes if you pay an item off, it might actually hurt your score more than it helps. And you definitely want a lender to take a look at it and give you guidance on
give you advice. Let them,
the right thing to do.
All right, and now, like I say, I don't know if this thing. We've actually been going a while, so this is fun. You think it's fun?
Yeah, it's cool.
Are you like, no? Okay. I don't know if this is going to pull up if anybody had any questions on there, and if it has. Only one comment. Let's see if it'll pull up. I'm trying to pull up the Facebook we're actually running this on, so it may not like that. Yeah, it's giving me an error loading. Maybe you can't see if we had any comments or. Yeah, I'm not seeing any, but we're going to post this back up once it's done, and probably post it to Instagram, IGTV as well. So if you do see it and you have any questions for me or Chip, I'll tag him in both of them. Just DM us or give us a call, area code 661-623-0231.
661-236-7651.
And we both answer texts, but like I say, I always have my phone with me, so DM is fine, text, call, we're happy to help.
I'm super OCD. If I don't answer my phone, it hurts my head, so I will always answer my phone.
All right, guys, thank you if you are watching this. If you're watching this later, thank you. And Chip, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, have a good day.